Deaf King Kong, hear me roar. And so the story goes, deaf King Kong, wandering through the abandoned foliage of China, trampling through the trees of the dark, majestic jungle, scattered with wild birds and animals, his land ascended to the strong peak of a mountain covered in fog, a land untouched by mortal men. And then it happened. A jeep crossing into the land, carrying men with guns equipped with bandoliers of ammunition, riding through the woods wearing their protective helmets and smug gazes, venturing with a beautiful blonde. Beauty embraced in her dainty lashes, perfect nose, kissable lips, finished off with her beauty mark of a mole. Adorning her body was a blouse buttoned so-so, riding along with no care in the world. As the men realized they could be pioneers to this unclaimed land, continuing their pursuit, they began to feel the earth tremble as the deer and other creatures fled for safety. Engulfed in fear, they continued as footsteps of doomed proved to be near. The trees began to tremble as big, old, deaf King Kong presented himself with squinty eyes, flared nostril, fangs of teeth, mighty chest, mighty muscles, power all through him, slender waist. He began to cross into the forest, banging on his chest, vibrating and causing the earth to tremble as he walked. The men, so afraid, pulled out their gun to try to kill King Kong, but his muscles just deflected the ammunition. As he kept walking, the birds scattered about. He trembled, made everything crash under him, and as he hit the jeep and obliterated it, the men, trembling in fear, trying to get away as he banged on his chest, when immediately King Kong found fascination in the eyes of the blonde, who stared at him in distress as he banged ever harder on the jeep. The men could not control him as he snatched away the beautiful blonde, running as his muscles continued to flare and to tremble and cause the earth to shake. And then there was a water, and he jumped over, and the girl was so petrified and so afraid, screaming for help. And as King Kong began to climb and began to walk up to the peak of the mountain, he began to continue to climb, holding on to his damsel, walking through the woods, walking through the forest, reaching the peak of the mountain. And when he had finally reached the peak, he screamed out in victory and banged on his chest. And as he did, he looked down over the mountain and looked at his damsel, who looked up at him and realized his eyes began to open and his nostrils began to soften, and as a smile even crept across his face, she noticed he was sweet. And as he did that, he looked at her and said, "Oh, I love you. I really love you, and I want to marry." Oh, as he signed Mary and squished his damsel, he yelled out in distress and in anguish because he had just killed his love, and King Kong was so upset.